little bit of a scenery change for today. I got my Snoopy headband on. It's upside down, but it's okay. I'm in my house, in my real house in Brazil for winter break. So I'm here for today. Oh, my little carabiner here. It's got a little keychain, another keychain, and a rabbit foot. It's probably not a rabbit's foot, but either way. So today at the breakfast table, as you usually do, I was having my coffee and talking to my mother. And we, in Brazil, a topic that has been discussed very frequently now is that of feminicide. And because there has been, not only is Brazil one of the countries with the highest rates of feminicide, but it is also one of the countries with the most, honestly, like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, people here just commit a lot of crimes in general because as a historically colonized country, there is a very despairing difference between the elites and the minorities and the oppressed and people in poverty and stuff. And so because of that, people tend to associate these crimes a lot more with the lower class. However, it's been something that now feminicide is being discussed even by the highest powers in Brazil. Celebrities are talking about it and stuff. And so now we were talking about it, and I started because, you know, when I was a kid, like, my mom would give me all of these books about feminism, and I kind of just grew up around it. And, you know, my mom was kind of a single mom, and I didn't really grow up with a dad. So she was always like my main role figure. And so I grew up a feminist. However, what I feel is something that is very seen, that I see a lot now, is that because of post-feminism, people kind of believe that we have advanced past the need for feminism because, oh, but women can vote. But obviously, that distracts us from the bigger things at hand, which is the internalized structures of misogyny that are in our society every day. Because it's things that a lot of people don't even notice. And so it's very worrisome to me that people are making very little effort to not only recognize these structures, but figure out what the hell do we do about it. And that kind of ties in with this new wave of misogyny that I see a lot at the hands of men. Because obviously throughout history, any period of a lot of advancements in terms of rights and equality and yada 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 will be followed by a period of a lot of conservatism. I think that's how I say it, conservatism. And that's what we're seeing now. We see all these women saying that they're anti-feminist and blah, 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 but it's so asinine to me that women like that can say that they're anti-feminist when not only are people like Erica Kirk, for example, benefiting from the things that feminism has conquered for all women. If Erica Kirk was an anti-feminist back in the 1800s, she would not be able to speak. She would not be able to be a woman CEO. Caitlin Bennett, she would not have a YouTube channel. Not only because there wasn't YouTube at the time, but also because women were not allowed to speak, period. And it seems like something so obvious to recognize, like, hey, you can speak. Hooray for feminism. But it's something that people just ignore. And it really freaking bothers me. And something that bothers me a little bit, even like, okay, obviously less, because anti-feminist women is absolutely insane concept. But something that also bothers me is that even with, you know, so many advancements in the world, men, a lot of time, they still fail to recognize that patriarchy also hurts men. So much so freaking much. They're quick to blame it all on women, but every time that I see a man talking about how it's all women's fault and blah, 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 my mind always cuts to the video of that one lady going like, and who set that system up? It always cuts to that, because is it bad that men also suffer because of the patriarchy? Yes, it is bad for everybody. But if it's a system where you also benefit and that you directly perpetuate by being anti-feminist, looks like someone doesn't want to get out, right? And so it's very funny that even now men are regressing back into a conservatism that also hurts them. Think like that one guy that uses crystal meth to like look smacks or whatever. Like that's also harming you, buddy, so much. I grew up in a pretty conservative school. It was a Catholic school, like monks lived there, and I always saw guys who expressed their feelings more, or had like emotional problems or anything, or even if they just like defended women ever. They were called gay, they were called an F-slur, they were called so many bad things. And so it's like they grow up to think like, hey, the only world where I don't get bullied is a world where I don't care about women and I treat women as objects, and I kind of like assimilate into this very toxic culture that we've set for ourselves. And that hurts me so much, because each time that we're progressing to a world where everybody can be friends and be equal and not be a-holes, we regress right back. And especially now, there's a meme in Brazil that's like, oh, dating men in 2025 is impossible. Why? Because they're always treating themselves like the last. There's this really good expression in Brazil where I wish I could use. It's like, you think you're the last cookie in the box. Like, you think you the shit. But it's like the oppressor will always confuse their being offended with being actually oppressed. And it's something that I talked about in my past video about religion, which kind of sparked a lot of drama, because people said that, oh, Muslims also historically conquer a lot of people. But it's like, girl, you can walk into a store and like not be profiled because you're not wearing a hijab. But anyway, that's a conversation for another video. And I feel like that's something I see a lot with guys, because they're so quick to pin things against women, where it is quite literally a system that they have set up by themselves for themselves. So it's like, even this like new performative male wave that we're seeing is so BS, because women are contented with guys understanding these topics about feminism so in such a surface level that it's like you don't engage critically with the root of your problems and the root cause of women's problems. Why do I have to read Simone de Beauvoir and consider how the things that I propagate in my head and in my society every day are reverberations of the misogynist, like, societal expectations that I was taught as a child to feel like a true feminist? I have to learn all of that. But guys are just like, women are people too. And boom, he's a feminist. I dated a guy who called himself a feminist. Once I tried talking about Simone de Beauvoir with him, and he didn't understand anything. I told him about how women are taught to be women because of societal expectations, and not because they are born a woman. They become a woman. And, he was like, no, yeah, I totally get that. That's so deep. I'm such a feminist. And then he proceeds to treat women like conquests. He proceeded to treat me like an object. He broke up with me as soon as I started having independent thought of like, hey, we should be able to work through this. We should be able to talk about this. Because they're not ready to carry the responsibility of being a true feminist and of recognizing why our world is the way that it is, because it's a lot of responsibility. As a woman, I think that you are born with the sense of guilt over being a woman. So I think that, at least for me, it was easier to like recognize these things and to apply them to my own life and to say like, no, I'm a feminist. And I am still learning, even at my age, to become a better feminist every day. But guys, it's like you realize that women aren't objects, and it's like, oh my god, witchcraft. So it's so stupid. Men are normalized to be able to be stupid to a way bigger extent than women a lot of the time, and that stresses me out, because why do I have to make up for your like lack of inability to learn by studying twice, thrice, 4 times as hard? And so it's really unfortunate that men don't realize that this system hurts them more than it benefits them in the long run, because they're quick to point like, oh, men kill themselves more. But when you actually try it to talk about how this happens because of the patriarchal system set in place, that encourage men to not share their feelings or seek help even when they desperately need it, they're encouraged not to seek that and to just say everything is a-okay and to abuse women. And at the end of the day, they have a lot of violence they carry within themselves and they just explode. And so they usually commit suicide in a lot more violent ways than women. And also they statistically seek help way less than women. So their issues get a lot worse. But like when you bring these things up, then they refuse to listen because they only want to weaponize data against women, not caring to know that this is because of the system that men have set in place. And it's kind of freaky how this and capitalism and the idea of a meritocracy and racism, they all walk hand in hand. So you can't just become a feminist without becoming anti-racist and anti-corporation to an extent. You can become a very surface level feminist without knowing about all these things, but then we get people like J.K. Rowling. We get exclusionists, we get choice feminists who don't realize that if you help one kind of woman, you have to help all the other kinds of women, because ultimately we're all in this fight together. Oh shit, my sister is here. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. I just wanted to get that thought out.